Hey guys, are you an RVer and have you thought about camp hosting? Well, if you come right back, we're going to tell you how our experience went and if we're going to do it again, and then we're going to follow up with some tips.
Hey, glad you came back. We're Dan and Lisa from Always on Liberty, and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about camp hosting.
Yeah, when we started RVing, actually, before we even launched, we camp hosted because we thought it was this really cool, glamorous job while we were parked at a state campground in Kentucky near Louisville. So, Dan, let's talk about what we did and the location of it, and then we'll tell you what we thought of it. And, you know.
We camp hosted at a very popular state park called Taylorsville Lake State Park in Taylorsville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And our duties, really, Lisa was hired on as the camp host. And our duties were to sell ice, sell wood, check campers in and out, clean the bathhouses, clean the bathrooms, maintain the grounds,
yep.
Clean fire pits and stuff like that.
Yep.
There was quite a bit to it, to
yep.
be honest with you.
Yeah, and for the state of Kentucky, and this was back a few years ago, it was a requirement to volunteer 25 hours a week. I just recently did some research, and they increased the hours to 30 per week. And I guess that could be per couple, but since I was doing the camp hosting, it was all on me.
Sure.
So, yeah, so we did, well, he ended up helping, but 25 hours a week. So that was our compensation, was a campsite. And they had a special campsite for the camp host, which, hindsight being 2020, I really didn't like it because it was in the middle of everybody. So you were always in sight, which meant you had to be available 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our term was, originally we were going to do it from April 1st to October.
Yep.
However, things changed. So we talked about the duties that were required for the position. And now I'm going to tell you what happened to me, and in essence him also, because he did help out on the weekends when he could. First of all, the campsite was only water and electric.
Correct.
So there was no sewage.
No, it was not a full hookup.
So Dan, we lived in our RV because we were waiting for our house to sell, which was, 8 miles down the road. And that got old really fast, considering we were sitting still for so long. And so the whole sewage thing, they didn't provide a honey wagon for us. We had to go buy a tote and all these other little gadgets to go with it. About how often did you?
I was dumping gray water about every 3 days and black water no more than 7 days for sure.
It was more on you.
Yeah.
It became a pain in the rear.
It did. It was a big hassle.
Yeah. So that's something that we didn't really realize when accepting the position. So then we ran into a situation where the actual manager of the campground, he was kind of what we call retired on active duty. There was no leadership. No. He micromanaged, but there was no true leadership. If I needed help with something, he was either absent or he didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, so here you are, understaffed and overtaxed. Lisa's working at the front check-in, checking people in on a Friday, and somebody's standing there demanding a bag of ice or a bundle of firewood or something, and you're the only person on duty, so you get to people as you can.
Yeah.
But some people are not very patient.
Well, and they didn't hire another camp host.
No.
It was just me.
Right. Lisa was the sole camp host, so there was no relief camp host. There was no, hey, look, I'm kind of busy. Let me go get the other guy or whatever. There was none of that for sure.
So that 25 hours a week? Double, triple that.
It rapidly expanded, it really did.
Yeah, especially on the weekends. It was totally insane.
To the point where when weekends came, when it was time to clean bathhouses and things like that, Lisa would take one section of bathhouses and I would have to take the other, because
we couldn't keep up with it.
You just couldn't keep up with it.
So I had 45 RV sites, 10 equestrian, and 15 tent sites. 2 complete bathhouses, which, by the way, were really, really nice. They each had 3 shower stalls.
Oh, yeah.
They had 4 toilets per.
They were large, nice, modern facilities.
Yeah, and his and hers.
Sure.
So they were really, really nice. And adjoining, there was a laundry room of 2 washers and 2 dryers,
Yep,
I think.
Yep, there was.
The compensation, the only thing that I got out of it was a, quote, free campsite, which we'll talk about later. And this being at Taylorsville in Kentucky, at the time, it was open from April 15th to October 15th. And I did notice on the website, they have elongated the season to December 15th, which
they go to the winter now.
yeah, this state campground, it was really, really a cool place. You could go birding and hiking and camping, and they had the Lake Taylorsville. Although the campground was not located right on the lake, it was right down the road. There was boating and kayaking and fishing and all that good stuff. So it was a campground.
It was a beautiful piece of property, very nice.
That's why it was really, really inviting.
It was very appealing in the beginning.
Yeah, it really was. But then, like we started, we didn't have any support from the so-called leadership, and I had to kind of deal with things on my own. And because I had to be flexible, the keeping up with my hours just flew right out the window, especially on weekends. I got 0 sleep. On top of that, the ranger, the law enforcement, he was also kind of retired on active duty. So it was like, geez, I had no support, absolutely none, other than the woman that worked in the admin building right up the road. She was wonderful, and so was the maintenance.
The maintenance guys were really good. The
Yep.
maintenance crews were really, really
Yep.
very, very good guys.
Yep, and they took care of the park impeccably.
Park was beautiful.
But when it came to my job, they weren't a part of the chain of command.
Yeah, they're
so
8
to
to
speak.
4. They're 8 to 4 folks, and they do
Yeah.
a great job. But at 4 o'clock when they go home, the camp host is left to fend with all the campers that are still on site and the people
Right.
that want to check you out and check in and stuff like that. So.
Right. So let's talk about a couple of the. We talked about the cool things, you know, the camping, the fishing, and all that. Let's talk about what made our experience not ever want to do this again. Well, number 1, the bathhouses. It never failed. Anytime the bathhouse needed a cleaning immediately, I had to be doing something else. So there was only one of us, but on the weekends, you helped.
Right.
We ran into some really bad situations, and I'm going to be a little graphic here because we're transparent, honest, and all that. But I don't know what it is with some of these campers, but some of them were pooping on the shower floor. The ladies would leave behind their stuff, and I think you know what I'm referring to. They would clog the toilets with toilet paper and paper towels.
Paper towels.
And I don't know what it is. You know, they say kids should have parental supervision. Well, that didn't happen. And there was this one instance where these 2 tween 10, 11-year-old boys took a whole bottle of shampoo, squirted it all over the men's floor bathroom.
Yeah, people in general were very disrespectful, I believe, to the property. I think they took the fact that they were probably going to only be there for the weekend very lightly. Well, I'm leaving Sunday afternoon, and I can do whatever I want within these next 48 hours, and I'm not responsible. I can leave garbage and burn plastic bottles in my fire pit and all this other stuff. And
yeah, and that was another thing, is when it came time for me to clean the fire pits, I wasn't just, you know, putting burnt logs in the bucket. I was putting trash, plastic bottles, cans, plastic cutlery and plates, and God knows what else was in there. So it was a lot of work for me because I had to keep dumping the bucket. And
right.
It was just we did not have a good experience.
No, there was no self-accountability from the tenants or from the occupants or the renters and stuff like that. And there was no respect for their neighbors or the outdoors or the state of Kentucky's, effort to make this beautiful park at all.
Well, not only that, you had just mentioned that there was no respect to your fellow campers.
None.
Being that this is on a lake, I at least in this part of the country, it read Redneck Yacht Club.
It was copious amounts of alcohol, to say the least.
Yes, yes, and everybody brought their dogs. They were allowed to park their boats and their trailers in the site, and it just was not an enjoyable camping experience.
No, and so here you become as the camp host, you're going to be asked to be the referee, and you're going to be asked to be the mediator between adjacent sites where people aren't getting along. And they've got a dispute over loud music or a barking dog this guy's parked on my grass. And when you get put in that position as a camp host, it's very uncomfortable. Yeah. It really is, especially if there's alcohol involved and there's negativity toward any type of authority figure involved.
Right.
So that's a really ugly affair.
Now, we're going to say it right here. This is not all camp hosts.
Oh gosh,
this
no.
This is just
our experience.
There are other people who have really, really wonderful experiences,
right.
Whether it's a state park, campground, or a Corps of Engineers, maybe a private campground, or even the national parks in the system. So there is a plethora of camp hosting opportunities.
Sure.
So keep that in mind. Our experience may not be yours. It may not be, a friend or whatever.
Understaffed, overutilized, overtasked.
So now we've talked about our experience. Let's talk about the reasons why people camp host.
Why would you possibly put yourself out there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, one of the big reasons, especially for the younger RVers or campers, is to supplement your income.
But when we talk about supplementing your income, we did this for just a site.
Yeah.
So if you're going to supplement your income with a camp host position, you want to maximize what you're getting from that campground. You want a full site. You want to make sure that they have propane available. Maybe you get free ice, free firewood.
Yeah.
You should get something extra, free laundry.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So the reasons are you're going to supplement your income, okay? And that may be just a trade. I do the work and I get a campsite in return. That's part of the compensation. Another reason is you want to enjoy the outdoors. And at the same time, you want to occupy your time. So if your money isn't really an issue, there's a good way to give back. At the same time, you're still getting the site. And then there's other reasons that may be personal on the person actually taking the camp host job.
Well, maybe it's hard to get a campsite in the area where you're going to camp host, and you've got family you want to visit and things like that, or an event you want to be a participant in.
And a good example is we were near Louisville, Kentucky. It is a tourist area. The Kentucky Derby was going on, and there's just a whole lot going on. So that could be another reason. So let's talk about requirements to be able to camp host. Well, first of all, you should be able to lift 25 to 30 pounds. At least I did, because I had to lift the water bucket from mopping the floors. So, you got to be able to lift that.
A couple bundles of firewood, a bag of ice,
exactly.
Things like that.
Yes. You have to be punctual. If your work day is from 8 o'clock, you need to be there 15 minutes early to get your office set up, turn on the computers if you need to, get your supplies and all that.
50% of life is just showing up.
Yes, that's funny. And then I laugh at this because towards the end of our camp hosting experience, this so was not happening. You have to be a people person.
You do.
You have to be able to like people. You have to be able to have patience with elderly. You have to... Children. People with dogs, loud dogs.
You have to be a good listener.
Yes, you do. So that whole hospitality, you have to put on your game face and smile and just kind of, keep the grumbling to yourself behind closed doors. And you should, if you're in a camp host position, you should have somewhat of an authoritative presence, because you may have to go and...
Oh, not me, you will.
You
You will referee this bout between Steve and Bill because
Yeah.
his music's too loud and his dog barks.
Yeah, so you will have to go over and tell people,
will.
hey, we got a report of your dog barking. You can't go in there talking like this and be taken seriously.
Yes.
So you need a little bit of an authoritative
You do.
presence about you. This is the biggest.
Yeah, this is number one.
Semper Gumby means always flexible.
Be very flexible.
Because you know what? Yeah, your day begins at 8. Guess what? No, it doesn't. You need to be, you're technically on call all the time.
That sure seemed to be our case for sure.
And it, you know, after a while, it does grate on you. You try to make plans on going for a bike ride or a kayak, and yeah, that's not happening. So I want to run down some finance figures to give you an idea what you're looking at if you are trading your time for a site.
Correct.
Okay? Now this is important, because if money is object to you and you are watching your pennies, and you know, if you're looking at value, listen up. So I went on to the current Taylorsville State Park, and their daily rate, they don't do monthly rates, by the way.
No.
They used to, but now they don't, because I think with the camping being so popular, they cut that back and kind of limit you. But anyway, the daily rate is $26 a day. And then the weekend and Saturday rate changes.
Sure.
Okay, to $4 more.
Yep.
So it's $29. So what I did is I took $26 times 5, because there's Sunday through Thursday at $26 a day, which was $520 a week.
A month.
A month, I'm sorry. And then $29 per weekend, which is a Friday and a Saturday, and that times 4 is $232 a month.
Combined, those are?
Combine those is $752 a month. And mind you, they do have holiday weekend rates also, which you're adding a few more dollars here and there. Well, breaking it down, if you were to figure out what my average hourly rate was to the required 25 hours, I was making about $6 an hour.
Which to me was not worth it.
No, not at all.
You'd
Now,
have been better served to go into retail and do something for $15 an hour at Lowe's or Home Depot and come back paid for your site and kept your cash at the end of the week.
Yeah, because exactly. I could have. I mean, what was the minimum wage back then? You know, $9 an hour.
Yeah, it was definitely more than this.
Right, and in the location and all that. And
Sure.
mind you, we didn't get our firewood for free.
No.
We didn't get any ice for free. There was no honey wagon for
Right.
us. So it was a straight, yeah. So that's what we're going to get into next is, so if you are interested in camp hosting, and hopefully your experience is much better than ours, and I believe there are some amazing places out there.
Absolutely.
Like I said, national parks, your Corps of Engineer parks, some other state parks in different states, and your private campgrounds.
Sure.
So the first thing you want to consider is location. Is this where you really want to go?
Because the right location can offset not being paid that much money, because you just love the scenic beauty. You've got family there. There's a great activity you like to do there. So that's a big one.
Sure. And then you want to consider the climate. Okay, if you're not, if your RV is not set up for cold weather camping, or you have the AC power to cool in the summer and you're situated in a place that,
Right, because a lot of camp hosting places may be very rural. Like in Colorado, the camp host at some of the smaller state parks is completely remote. There might only be 10 or 12 sites, and there's no electricity, no water,
Right.
nothing.
So then you're going to consider the duties. So you need to be upfront and ask, what are my duties going to be? One of the biggest complaints amongst those who camp host is they'll be told what their duties are, and then once they get there, oh, the manager's sliding in some extra, well, you need to clean that bathroom twice a week. Mission creep,
Yep.
Exactly.
Mission creep.
Yeah, or job creep.
Yep.
So you want to ask up front what your duties are.
Okay.
Then you're going to ask them if you're going to get paid monetarily, what is the rate and how many hours do you work to get that compensation. And then you're going to ask what your arrival and departure time, when you report in for your job, and then when you're expected or expecting to leave. And if there are any items that you need for your doing your job. And I'm going to use an example. I was reading a blog by Ditching Suburbia, where one of their camp host jobs, they needed to have their own computer.
Yeah, that's not happening for me.
That's crazy. But sometimes they may require you to have khaki pants, sturdy steel-toed shoes. Not all, but they may have a special requirement where you wear nothing but blue shirts or whatever. So you need to ask all those questions. And then, most importantly, anytime you look into a camp host job, you want it all in writing. Before you sign that contract, right, but you were like ahead of me. You want to get everything in writing up front, and if there is stones that seem to be unturned, you need to ask those questions and get everything in writing. So there we gave you our experience.
Now, would you do it again?
You know, knowing what I know now,
We're much wiser now than we used
yes,
to be.
we are. Yes, we are. And we've also RV'd for over 6 years.
Yeah, we were brand new to the RV community when we did this.
Yes, so we know, and we've talked to other camp hosts, and we've seen what they've done in the right place, in the right time, for the right reasons. And if the duties were better and the leadership was better, absolutely, I would do it again. But I would not do it such long term. The first time I would do it, I would say, let's go month to month.
And there's something you will see that a lot of campgrounds, they want a 90-day contract. They want continuity with their camp hosts and stuff, and that's tough to deal with if you really want to be mobile. Yeah. That's kind of hard to deal with. Now,
do be aware that once you sign a contract, if you break that contract, underground, you're going to have that on your so-called resume, and if you don't want to have that reputation of breaking your contract as far as terms. Okay, so naturally, if there's an emergency that comes up where you need to leave your position as camp host, that, life happens. But, you don't want that following you if you're going to try to apply to other camp host positions. So would I do it again? Like I said, right location, right reasons, support from leadership. Would you?
I would do it again if I felt like there was the right team put in place. Mm-hmm. I felt like we were left on our own a lot. I really do believe that. I think the ranger was retired on duty, and it was not a comfortable situation for us because we're very energetic and we want to do things right, and we want to do things the right way all the time. But I think if I were part of a team, yes, I would do it, especially if some of the things that we found unpleasant, like bathrooms and bathhouses being cleaned, if those were contracted out, and all I'm doing is taking tickets at a booth or something like that, I think it'd be a lot easier. You could say hello to the campers. Yeah. It really depends on what the job description would be, to be honest. How much of a host do I really need to be?
I think you're right. I don't want to do bathrooms ever again. I did bathrooms for 3 months. I got my fill for life.
I also believe that where the campground is located is an important feature. Yeah. Is it a resort? is it a campground? You know, where is it geographically located? That does make a difference to me personally. I'd rather I would participate in a camp host program again.
So there you go. We told you our experience, tips, and what to look for. Our best wishes and good luck to you if you try to procure a camp host position. Just make sure you read into it and, you know, look at that contract before you sign it. And make sure that, you know, you have an amicable agreement between the campground, the managerial staff, and yourself. And, you know, that you know the expectations in everything that it encompasses.
Yeah, because 99% of the time that manager goes home at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And guess who's left to take care of everything? You are.
You
as
are.
his representative, as the camp host.
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. We're glad you joined us, and we'd really love it if you hit that subscribe button there and check back, because we're gonna keep bringing you some pretty cool videos and our experiences on the road.
Hit us up with some comments. Let us know if you've camp hosted and you know what your experiences were, so we can share the wealth and share your information too.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So as we say, underway is the only way. Thanks for tuning in.